Did your invitation get lost in the mail like mine did?
Where am I not going?
Go where?
The Meghan's wedding?
I just want to see my kids react to me in my wedding dress. Oh my goodness, can I just say that the royal wedding is beautiful. I watched it with my little girl, snuggled in this bed in the morning. It was magical. The wedding was beautiful and they just looked so happy. If it's someone's wedding, I don't really believe in criticizing too heavily or at all. The law of kindness should be on my tongue. And I also believe that age-old proverb, if you can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. Especially in the context of a wedding. But I absolutely thought the wedding was gorgeous. Let me know what your favorite part was down below. I thought it was funny. I saw a lot of commenters everywhere. Just so many commenters about her dress being too plain. Is it just me, or was her wedding dress like, maybe that's the dress that she likes? I don't know. A lot of people said, oh, well, she didn't want to overshadow Kate or Princess Diana, and I don't know why she picked so simple of a dress, but she did, and I just expected a more regal wedding dress. Let your beauty be from the inward person and not from the adorning of your hair and your makeup and your wedding dress. But it was a beautiful dress. It was modest. It came up really high, which is very hard to find, and I'm sorry, but she could wear literally a flour sack and look good. That woman is gorgeous. I loved how her makeup was really light and you could see her freckles. The preaching at the wedding was just beautiful. It was just like a fantasy dream kind of thing to watch. It was also very just uplifting. The very beginning, there was this amazing soprano singing like an angel, and it was actually very similar to how my wedding started out. There was a soprano who opened it up. My flower girl actually was an adult soprano friend of mine who walked down the aisle, put the flower petals, and then surprised everyone by then taking the microphone and singing my bridesmaids down the aisle. And it reminded me of that. But yes, they had the most beautiful soprano. They had a choir sing, and this was an American choir, so they just wanted to incorporate some of Meghan's background as well into the wedding. I think this wedding made history because Meghan is half black, and so this would be the first black person to marry a royal. That's a really big deal. I mean, that just means that we've come a long way. I saw a lot of commenters say, well, she's only half black. Why do they have to even include the choir and the American preacher? And that's rude. Most of us, no matter what we look like, we still identify with our mother's heritage to some extent. We're gonna identify possibly with the parent that raised us the most. Her mother, who was very beautifully adorned, was sitting there at the wedding and just looked like such a woman of strength, sitting there glowing, and she must have just been overcome with emotions to see her daughter marrying a prince. I mean, who doesn't want their daughter to have a dream life and to have a good life, to marry a good man? You know, we're all flawed individuals, but from what I know, Prince Harry really does care about others, and he does a lot of humanitarian aid. The prince looked very relieved once he saw his bride. Of course, many of us deal with things differently, but he looked quite nervous throughout the ceremony. But once the bride walked in, you could see his face kind of that relief set in. They had an American preacher and a choir. That was about the only part of the wedding that I can remember that incorporated Meghan's heritage, and then most of it was a very traditional royal wedding with flower girls and page boys and hats. I found out they wear the hats in the church because to honor the age-old tradition of women wearing their hair covered during worship. So that's kind of a fun little tradition. Something that we don't really think about here in America very often, unless we're of a more orthodox faith. There were a lot of commenters talking about how much taxpayer money it cost to put on that wedding. And number one, it must have cost a lot to pay all those wonderful musicians and her dress. The location was in a church, and they must have paid all of the preachers, of course, or whatever they called the preacher in the Church of England. I don't know. Sorry, American girl here. It can really be argued that they brought in over $1 billion in revenue to the area, to their country, because of the royal wedding, because people traveled and brought tourism. So the hotels were booked, the restaurants were booked, people purchased all the mementos that you can imagine to remember their time at the royal wedding, whether they were in the church or whether they were on the street watching the procession go by, or whether they were the news media. It brought a lot of tourism to the country. I mean, you can say that it cost taxpayer dollars, but then it also brought revenue, and it was just a happy thing. Who doesn't want to watch a wedding? This is a family with very rich history. It was quite fantastic to watch. I wonder where my wedding dress is. You guys, I cannot get this zipped up because, yeah, I've had 3 babies. You guys want to see my kids react to me in my wedding dress?
Hi, baby. Wow. It's beautiful. I love your gown. And also your veil, too.
They're quite stained.
Oh, don't worry. We can wash them later. Yeah, but when I grow up.
When you
I'll
grow
wear
up?
that dress.
You want to wear this dress when you grow up?
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
Okay.
I think you need slippers.
Okay, I'm actually gonna hang this up now.
But I want you to be a princess.
I am a princess all the time. It doesn't matter what I wear.
Mm-mm. I want you to leave it on so you can princess. Just love your gown. Wait, why did you take them off?
Oh, honey, because it was so hot.